Hello everybody, Michael with McEwen Gun Stocks. Today I'm working on this old BB gun, Daisy Centennial 1894 replica. This one is branded Sears. I already took it apart and I believe I found the problem with the gun and put it back together again, and that took a little bit of figuring all the way around, not having done one before and there being very little information online, and what there is on YouTube is sort of incomplete. But after careful consideration and looking at all the parts, and I thought I'd run through a disassembly and reassembly for my own practice and for your edification. And once we try shooting the gun, we'll see if it's actually fixed. But what I found was half a dozen BBs stacked up inside, and I think if I had emptied the magazine and just shot them one at a time until they were all out of the gun, it probably would have taken care of the issue. I think what was going on is kind of like those office desk toys that's a number of hanging balls, and you swing one and it hits the stack of them and it sends the other one off. I think that's what was going on. The pin that strikes the BBs, I think it was hitting the first one in the stack and shooting the next one out, and then when you cocked the gun it was loading another one into the stack, and it always had half a dozen BBs in there, so the one that was getting spit out didn't have a whole lot of energy. That's what I'm thinking. We'll find out once we get it back together again. Anyway, I'll stop talking and set about doing this. So I got this zoomed in. Hopefully you can see there's this little spring here. I got a Harbor Freight O-ring pick here that has been cut off and has a little bit of rough edge. It's perfect for grabbing onto springs like this one, a hammer spring. So we'll take that off, remove the hammer pin here, take the hammer and its spring out. There's the trigger, take its pin out, and here's the trigger out. And then up here there's another spring. Pull that off like that. And then this pin holds the cocking lever and one additional little piece. I don't know the proper name for it. So there's that. And then this doesn't come out or in unless the main spring has been released a little bit. So now we're going to go ahead and do that. Let me make a little bit of room here. Oh, and obviously I took the side plates and the forearm off, but those are just simple screws. There's nothing complicated to show about that. I'm going to use my spring gun spring compressor. And online you'll see instructions. People, let me zoom out here for this larger operation. Online, in fact I hope you saw everything I just did. Online you'll see people making a spring removal and installation tool out of 2 wires and carefully placed in 2 spaced holes. I didn't find that necessary. I just drilled a 1/4-inch hole in a block of wood and stuck 2 1/8-inch piece of wire in there. These are 9-inch long. They probably could have been shorter, but it's what I went with. Spread them apart a little bit. Stick them down in here on either side there. And so I've got it here in my spring compressor. Got the 2 wires on either side of the spring, reaching down there and touching the ends of the spring. And I'm just going to tighten up here on this C-clamp. It's just a C-clamp with the anvil cut off and bolted to a 2x6. And there's a, let me tilt this up, little piece of 2x2 with a couple 1/4-20s through it. And there's a number of different holes I have drilled in the 2x6 for different length barreled actions. For this to fit. I've been using this tool for probably 30 or 40 years. I've always thought about making something nicer, but it works, so it continues to get used. In any case, I'm just going to compress that spring a little bit to relieve tension on this guy. I'm just holding this in place because these wires are flexy, be a little wonky. And so this is the spring retention thing here. Take that out, back the pressure off. Yes, it's a wimpy spring, and I'm sure you could do it just by pressing by hand or pushing it on the table, but I like having control. I mean, I've got the tool, why not use it, right? So there we go. Let me take this off and get this out of the way. And now we can remove the cocking lever. Here we go. This is that additional other plate that goes on the other side that little spring went into. Set that aside and then get in here and pull this guy out. There it is. There's also a cushion, a buffer. I forget the name of it. There's a little rubber cushion. I don't know if it's supposed to stay on this rod or if it's supposed to stay down at the end of the barrel where it currently is, but when we shine a flashlight down in there, it seems fine. It's happy where it is. I'm going to leave it. We'll see if the gun shoots. You know, I'm pretty sure I'm not a BB gun aficionado. You know, my work is mainly on real spring guns and PCP guns and mainly carving gun stocks for them, but you know, I do a lot of work on the mechanics of guns as well. I'm thinking this is not an air gun per se, actually at all. It's not an air gun. I think what happens is this rod smacks the BB, and I think this is not really a piston so much as just a guide to keep things square and centered while this pin is driving forward to smack BBs out of the barrel. Kind of fun. You know, I was looking at ads, the old ads for Daisy BB guns, and it harkened back to feelings of my youth, that joy and excitement that comes from drooling over ads for things like BB guns and, well, fishing rods and fishing lures and smoking pipes and all these things that I was just so enamored with it as a child, looking through the Herder's magazine and Sports Liquidators and Feathercraft, all these different things I used to look at as a kid. And certainly BB guns just inspire that youthful fascination of the ability to throw rocks, in a sense, throw really tiny rocks super accurately, well, somewhat accurately with a BB gun. Anyway, it's really just a lot of fun. I can understand why so many people, even as adults, enjoy them. It is a joy. So anyway, that's all I have to say about it. I'm going to put it back together again. There's that. Looks to me like this gun had been serviced before. There's fairly fresh moly on everything. I didn't bother cleaning it up and lubricating it because it looks like somebody had already done that. Looks to be a very clean example of this gun. Get that pushed in, and I'll be right back. Okay, I turned the camera off for a moment so you wouldn't see me fiddling around, not quite knowing what to do, but now that I figured out the right move, I will show you. I've got the spring pulled back towards the rear a little bit to give some room to work. And I put this guy in first to get it up into this hole. Here, let me zoom in. Like that. So I put this in first and then engage the cocking lever with the end of the mainspring like that, and there it goes. And one thing I wanted to check, oh yep, both of these pins are the same length. I was kind of curious if one was longer than the other. I'm going to stick it in there halfway, and I'm going to flip it over, and then we're going to get here, this guy in. Let me figure out my fiddling. Be right back. Okay, let's see how this goes. So I've got the cocking lever opened up a fair amount. It's got a recess in there to fit this part. So I'm just going to place, oh yeah, what did I do? I put the part that holds the spring up in its hole, and then move this lever until I get it up in there, like that. Bada bing. And lost the pin out of this side, so let me get it back in here. There. Flip it over. And did we, oh, I think we got lucky? No, I don't think so. Pull that out. Oh, I did. Huh. Well, got lucky and we captured the whole of this thing too. Just like that. And then we can move this forward. Boom. And I don't know that it's necessary to stick this in right yet, the spring, so I'm going to just flip this over. Yep, everything looks great. And I'm going to set up the spring compressor to get the this part that holds the spring in. I'll be right back. Okay, 3 times the charm. The little wires like to slip past the coils of the spring. It's not the perfect tool, but it does work. And so now we slip this in. There we go. And release the spring compressor tool. Get this out of the way. Okay, there we go. So now this guy goes like this. Oh, yeah, you can see good, I think. Yep, like that. And we got this spring. One end is a sharp curl, and the other end is kind of open. I'm going to presume the sharp one goes over the end of the sheet metal, and the more open one goes over this curved piece of metal on that plate. I should have looked up the proper names of all these parts for you, but I'm going to use my cut-off seal pick tool, my little spring pulling tool, to put that on. And now let's drop the hammer in there like that, and it gets a pin. Boom. And reach up inside there and grab that spring. And there's a little notch in the sheet metal for it to clip onto right there. And finally the trigger. Okay, oops, hope you were seeing everything there. So let me zoom out a little bit. Whoa. So the trigger return spring, it's got a flat spot on the trigger for that spring to go on. Get my fingers out of the way so you can see. It goes like that. And then inside the sheet metal here, there's a little bent out little ledge for the other end of the spring to fit on. So I'm going to put the, let's see if we can get that on the camera. That's pretty hard. Well, if you have one of these, you'll see there's a little spot in there for that spring to rest on. It's obvious. And I'm just going to do it to it after a fashion. And I don't want to waste your time with me fiddling, because some of these little things are fiddling. Fiddleable. Oh, there we go. Goes right on its spot. Looks like maybe I got to cock the hammer to make some room for it. Oh yes. There we go. Okay, I'll fiddle and then I'll tell you what I fiddled. Alright, I see how it goes. I stuck it up in there and got the spring on its little spring resting spot, and then I just pushed the trigger up into place there, And my fingers are probably getting in the way of the view, but I'm just going to stick the pin in there. It's under some spring tension, a little bit of bend and twist, and it went through the other side, and that is a trigger with some trigger return tension on it. Good deal. Alright, well, that's all back together again. I'm going to put the plastic pieces on. I'll get right back to you. Okay, so next I put the left side plate on. Can't see my finger, I'm zoomed in so close. That part. And then I placed the BB feed tube on it. And it looks like it'll have to be bent a little bit for the screw to get past. And in fact, on this part I can see marks from the screw. So this appears to be right, and there's a notch in here for the spring holding piece of metal to go. I should have wrote down the proper names of these parts. And then here's a little trapdoor piece with its spring. It's going to go on top, and I'll get back to you once I get the next step. So indeed, the very next step is I put the plastic forearm on, and it fits nicely with the side plate, and everything looks like it's going together correctly. Oh, and then this looks like a no-brainer. I just put this guy on. It's got two little pivot parts that fit between these two pair of pins, like that. And I see they put a little standoff here to limit the travel of this little trap door. So I presume it only goes so far as to expose the tube's hole. So, whoops, lost the spring. Some more little fiddling. The big end goes down. There we go. Not sure which way this wants to flop. I'm gonna go rearwards with it. Well, actually, if rearwards, the spring's gonna touch the cocking lever. That doesn't seem good. This way, the end of the spring sticking out is away from the cocking lever. So actually, I think we're going to go that way, forwards with it. Yep, these little BB guns are fiddly, huh? Oh, hey, I think we got it. Yes, that all appears to be good. Okay, let's see if we can get a couple screws in it. Okay, putting the screws together, I just want to make a quick note to myself and to any of you that this matters to. There's 2 lengths of short screws. 2 are fatter. They go on the end of the forearm. Whoops, tilt this up so you can see where I'm pointing. The 2 shorter and slightly skinnier ones go on either side of the action, one there and one there. And then there is a long, skinny, fully threaded screw that goes there, and another one here, and did I point at the right place? Yeah, long, skinny, fully threaded there. Long, skinny, fully threaded there. Fatter, not fully threaded. That screw here. Yep, and then we've got these super fat ones that are going to hold the buttstock on. I'll be right back. Okay, so here it is back together again. The last screw is installed. No further mysteries. I cocked it, shot a BB across the shop. It bounced around. It shoots. When we started, the BB barely rolled out the end of the barrel, and now it shoots like a BB gun should. Not a whole lot of power, but it does shoot and fly across the shop, so I think it's a functional BB gun. I really enjoyed working on this project. Brought back fond memories of youthful fascination with BB guns and all things that shoot. When I was a kid, my dad didn't allow us kids to have BB guns or toy guns. If we wanted to shoot, it was going to be real guns, which we did do a fair amount of. But as soon as I became an adult, I had BB guns and pellet guns, and then, as life progressed, PCP and all the cool modern stuff. But play with a simple old BB gun is a real joy. It brings back those fond childhood memories. And I know a lot of you watching had BB guns when you were a kid, and they're just such a joy. So this was a real pleasure to work on. If you enjoyed watching this, please give me a thumbs up. Comment down below. It really helps the Google algorithm and my fledgling little channel. Subscribe if you are so inclined. Hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when I publish. I mainly do this channel to take my clients along on the journey I take with their projects, and maybe it'll help somebody in the future. And I certainly expect it to help myself at some point when I forget how I did something. I could look back and see. Thanks everybody for watching.